Somewhere in the Philippines right now, in a barrio outside Capiz, in the mountains of Mindanao, in a province where the old stories still travel house to house after dark, a grandmother is telling her grandchildren
Remember what I told
not
you.
to go outside
Do
tonight.
not go outside tonight.
Not because of the
It is
weather,
not safe out there in
not
the dark.
because of strangers, because of something that looks exactly like your neighbor by day and hunts you by night. In Tagalog regions, it describes sorcerers and shapeshifters. In the Visayas, especially in the provinces of Capiz, Iloilo, and Antique, it means something far more visceral. A flesh-eating, organ-consuming predator that lives among ordinary people. In parts of Mindanao, it takes on the traits of a corpse eater who haunts burial grounds. In Zambales, it's called the Boroka. Among the Waray, the Abat. In Catanduanes, the Silagan. Same word. Radically different creatures, depending on which island you're standing on. What unites all of them is this. During the day, the Aswang looks exactly like you and me. It walks among the community. It might be your neighbor, your midwife, your friend. It might be the quiet woman at the edge of the village who everyone respects and no one quite trusts. And when night falls, it becomes something else entirely. The Aswang is a shapeshifter at its core. It can transform into animals, dogs, cats, pigs, large birds. It can mimic the voices of loved ones. It can create a doppelganger of its victim using a banana trunk carved to look like the stolen body, so that no one realizes what has happened until it's too late. And its preferred prey? Pregnant women, unborn children, the sick, the sleeping, the most vulnerable among us. Here's what's remarkable. The Aswang is not a modern invention. It is not a campfire story that grew in the internet age. It is ancient. The first written record we have comes from 1589, from a Spanish missionary named Juan de Plasencia, who documented the beliefs of the people he was trying to convert to Catholicism. He wrote about a creature he called the Aswang, a sorcerer figure that the indigenous people deeply feared. He noted that of all the creatures in Filipino belief, this was the one that inspired the most dread. But the word almost certainly predates the Spanish by centuries. Linguistic scholars have traced related terms, Aswang and its cognates, across Cebuano, Hiligaynon, Aklanon, and Bicolano, all sharing the same core meaning. A malevolent, shape-shifting spirit that harms the living. These are languages spread across thousands of islands, suggesting the concept was already woven into the archipelago's cultural fabric long before European contact. Some historians suggest the concept arrived with the ancient Malay, who settled the Philippine archipelago around 1200 CE, bringing with them a rich tradition of animist belief that included malevolent spirits capable of assuming human form. The structural similarity between the Aswang and creatures found in Malaysian and Indonesian folklore, particularly the Malaysian penanggalan, a flying head with dangling entrails, suggests a shared Southeast Asian origin, predating any single culture. One widely repeated folk etymology claims the word Aswang derives from the Sanskrit term Asura, meaning demon, a relic of Hindu influence from trade with empires like the Majapahit and Srivijaya. However, scholars at Grokipedia and researchers from the Aswang project note that there is no solid philological evidence for this connection, and it likely stems from speculation rather than direct linguistic lineage. I mention it because you will encounter this claim, but treat it with appropriate skepticism. What is not in dispute is this: the Aswang has been central to Philippine life for at least 500 years of recorded history, and almost certainly much longer. The Manananggal is arguably the most distinctive and the most disturbing. The word comes from the Tagalog tanggal, meaning to detach or to separate. And that is precisely what it does. By day, the Manananggal appears as a normal woman, often described as beautiful. But at night, it sprouts enormous wings, and its upper body tears itself free from its lower half. It flies through the night, its long thread-like tongue probing through the walls and windows of houses, searching for a specific target: the fetus of an unborn child, or the blood of a sleeping person. There is one critical vulnerability. If you can find the lower half of a manananggal while it is separated, and pour salt, ash, or garlic on the severed stump, the creature cannot rejoin itself before dawn. When the sun rises, the upper half withers and dies. This is not just horror for horror's sake. Think about what this belief would mean in a pre-modern rural community. Pregnant women were considered especially vulnerable. The Manananggal gave a name, a face, and a causal explanation to miscarriages, stillbirths, and infant deaths that had no other explanation.